Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. So I get no end of questions, no end of comments and emails of people asking, Richard, how do you maintain your shrimp tanks? How should I maintain my shrimp tanks? What is the best way to go about carrying out shrimp tank maintenance? So I thought in this video, I would show you how I maintain one of my tanks, and I'm going to do some maintenance on the Black Rose tank. Let's get started. So the aquarium we're looking at here is a 12-inch cube. It's 30 centimeters cubed and it holds around 7.5 gallons of water. Now, as mentioned, this is the tank that has my Black Rose shrimp colony, and it also has my last remaining Celestial Pearl Danio. So when I first got this aquarium, I added a built-in feeding dish at the front, and that does tend to fill up with debris quite quickly, particularly in this case, empty snail shells. So my first job in maintenance is typically to suck out the contents of the feeding bowl, but try my best not to suck up any of those shrimp that insist on going near the end of the hose. Now, I do always drain directly into a bucket rather than down the drain, because you may well notice one shrimp did got the hose, but I simply fished him out the bucket and plopped him back in. He was none the worse for his little adventure. So once I've siphoned the debris out of the feeding dish, the next job is to clean the algae from the front glass. Now, I only ever clean the front glass, the main viewing panel. I don't fear algae. I don't worry about algae growing on the sides or the back of the tank or even the rocks or the wood. And in my opinion, algae is only beneficial to a shrimp tank, and the shrimp love to graze on the algae. So I remove it from the front glass for my own enjoyment, but I don't tend to worry about it anywhere else. So once the front glass is clean, the next job here is to remove some of the Java moss. Now, I love Java moss. I love growing Java moss in my shrimp tanks. In my experience, Java moss is one of the easiest plants to grow. And in fact, once you get it up and running, it can grow like a rampant weed, and it can quickly take over an aquarium. So here I'm just removing some of the bits I don't want. I don't want to rip out all of the Java moss. I just want to remove it from some parts of the tank where it's starting to take over. Now, once the Java moss is dealt with, it's time to trim back some of the stem plants. And this plant here is, I believe it's Hygrophila polysperma, the Indian swampweed. It's a fabulous, fast-growing stem plant. It's great for filling out space in a new aquarium. But much like the Java moss, it does run away. It does start to take over. So look, I'm no aquascaper, I'm no George Farmer, but all I want to do here is to trim this back to create more open space in the middle of the tank so that I can enjoy my shrimp and I can enjoy the fish when I put fish in there as well. So all I'm doing here is cutting it back here and there to remove as much of the growth in the middle of the tank as I can without obviously destroying the plant altogether. So it's just a case of going through, slowly trimming, looking, and removing the trimmings as I go. Now, the great thing about stem plants is the trimmings I remove, I can easily replant in another tank and they will quickly root and grow away. So if you get yourself some stem plants, you essentially can continually propagate those plants and filling out other aquariums. I love stem plants. Then the last thing I do is use a test strip to check the water parameters of the tank before I add fresh water back in. I'm a huge fan of monitoring and recording water parameters, which is why I developed the Shrimp Keeper's Journal. It's a great way for us to keep track of our water parameters. I genuinely believe success leaves clues, and when things are not going as well as they once were, if we have the journal, we can look back to when times were good and compare the parameters now and see what perhaps has changed. What do we need to alter to get our shrimp back to the time when they were breeding? The Shrimp Keeper's Journal is available from Amazon, or you can download a digital copy using the links in the description. So once the last of the plants and the decaying leaves are removed, it's time to refill the aquarium, and I only drained this down by about 10% or so I only had to add back in a couple of litres of dechlorinated tap water. Okay, so that is essentially how I carry out the maintenance on all my shrimp tanks. Now, I don't have a set time period. I don't necessarily do that every week or every 2 weeks or whatever it might be. I literally just observe my tanks. I see what's going on, and if I feel they need the maintenance, then that's what I'll do. Typically, the most frequent cause of me doing the maintenance is the glass becoming covered in algae. If I can't see in, I can't enjoy my shrimp. As I say in the video, I'm a huge believer in not doing water changes, in creating a stable environment for your shrimp. And the more water changes we do, the less stable that environment becomes. But as I say in the video, with these tanks, I have to drain down some of the water. Otherwise, the minute I put my sausage fingers in there, it just goes over the top. So whilst I try and keep my water changes to an absolute minimum, when I'm doing maintenance, I do have to remove some water. Now, the other thing you may have noticed about this tank, these shrimp they're Neocaridina shrimp, and they are black rose shrimp. And as the name very much suggests, the black rose shrimp should be black. But I leave this population just to breed, just to multiply as they wish. Now, this tank is full of some lovely, lovely black rose shrimp. But it also has some which have come out more of a brown colour. And there are some real bright blue shrimp in there. And if I were a better shrimp keeper, I would take the blue ones out and put them with my blue colony. I would take the chocolate brown ones out and put them in their own colony. Allow them to do their thing and allow the black rose shrimp to develop a strong black rose line. But I'm not breeding them to sell. I'm not breeding them to create a stronger colour line. I'm just keep them to enjoy them. In a future video, I will touch more on breeding selective lines and how you cull to maintain a strong, healthy colony of shrimp, but also a strong colour line. But as I say, I'll come back to that in a future video. One reason you might want to maintain a strong colour, a bold colour line, is if you were breeding your shrimp to sell. And if you want to know how to go about breeding your shrimp to sell to make a profit breeding shrimp, why not watch this video next? Thanks for watching.